What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Manbitesfilm, episode 104, right?
104.
104!
I got it right, boys.
4, and if you rearrange it, you get 401, but you also get 40, which is going to be my age tomorrow.
Nice grasp of that one.
I'm plugging my birthday for
Wow. That's all I gotta say. That was a stretch.
Woo! Well, it's for the listeners. It won't be tomorrow. His birthday will have already passed. But
yeah, my birthday will have been 3 days prior to this dropping. So
yeah. As always, I am Brandon. Joining me are the regular guys, Lewis.
Hey.
And of course, William, my man, 40. He's hitting a midlife crisis over here.
Yeah, I'm like,
he hit his midlife crisis earlier than that.
I mean, instead of like dropping the money on a curve, I really hope I haven't gone through my midlife crisis, because that means I'm already past halfway in my life, which is going to put me into even more of like a depression. So let's hope not.
And we have a special guest joining us, not for one, but 2 segments on our show today. Yeah. Zach.
It's me, Zach.
It's him, Zach.
That's what it says when you pull the little pull string on my back. That's what it says.
So, as always...
I have a different reaction that comes out when somebody pulls a string.
That, what, you fart?
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
I was trying to be classy and not say it, but fuck, man.
No, man. There's no class in this show. If you are joining us for the first time or the 104th time, we are a weekly movie podcast where we talk about the movie bucket list. We have a main review, Spiel binge, Bandit, I'm gonna fucking murder you, and 3 individual reviews to round out the show. So, on that note, William, of course, has these magical posters from these very tall, sexy aliens with a movie bucket list. They're always sexy. They have always been sexy. Don't you dare talk bad about them.
They are my aliens, and my aliens are definitely sexy aliens.
So they're your aliens. They're definitely not sexy.
So I'm going to throw I know I threw a little bit of a curveball last week. So I guess I'm going to throw like a knuckleball, because that's just really hard to hit, even harder than a curveball for you guys. And this is why I was like, Zach, you should join us for this, because you may like this.
Okay.
So I am going to ask you guys, and I'd love to know what the answer. And you can obviously all individually answer as to what you decide and why. Mm-hmm. If I were to say I need you 3 guys to give me each one movie that you think belongs absolutely on a bucket list, what would your one pick be?
Son of a bitch.
Back to the Future.
Back to the... Okay.
Yeah.
Wait, hold on. Wait, say it again?
Back to the Future.
The first one?
Yeah.
Okay, because?
Honestly, I think that made a huge impact on us. It actually created not just the formula for many other franchises that came after it, but it's such a pop icon that anywhere in the world you go, people know the name Marty McFly and Biff Tannen. And everybody knows the DeLorean, they know Doc. All these names, they will forever be cemented in our culture across the world, no matter what background you're in. That is the one thing people will know in English. And so I think Lewis, that's iconic.
Lewis, 2 things. 1, you sound super bassy and kind of low. Turn that sexy voice up. B,
ooh.
If it dawned on me yesterday, I was, doing the rounds for the Mother's Day, and I was at my girlfriend's mom's house, and her cousin was there. What?
Is that better?
Not really.
Oh, my voice is bassy. What can I say?
Just put I'm talking you just sound low. Like put yourself up.
Is that better?
Low. Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, better now.
Not really.
No?
It also sounds like you're in a tunnel.
Yeah.
Are you did you cover yourself? Did you put are you in a tunnel? You made a little tunnel with the microphone at the end? Whatever.
No,
I thought.
But I will talk closer to the
there
microphone now.
Oh, you are so much better now. Thank you. So, Her cousin was talking, and I heard him say "scrote," the word "scrote."
Scrote.
Yeah, and it dawned on me because he had a dog on him, and he was like, "Hey, whoa, chill, like with my scrote," and it dawned on me the scene in Back to the Future Part 2 when the guy's like, "What's the matter, McFly? You got no scrote?" And he grabs him by the balls. And he lifts him up. And it never dawned on me that scrote meant his balls.
Yeah.
I just thought it was some 2015 fucking bullshit word. He was calling Marty or some shit.
Well, I guess it's because, like, the habit is that, like, we tend to shorten words. But if you think scrotum, it's kind of like the same thing.
Yeah, I don't know. I had a really dumb moment, and it dawned on me that scrote meant balls in Back to the Future Part 2.
I like the way you say that. Balls.
So,
would anyone else like to talk about scrotums? Or
what would be your...
Zach, actually, let's give the guess. Zach, what is your movie? What would be on your bucket list?
So I'm going to interpret this question to mean a singular theatrical experience of, like, what is it to be in a movie theater? What is it to watch a movie and engage with a movie? And I'm going to pick the Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Oh.
I think that the experience of seeing that movie gives you just about every possible thing that cinema and a theatrical experience and an audience has to offer. It engages, it fires on all cylinders. It is a classic, cult classic as it may be. Iconic performances, iconic songs. It's got humor. It's a complete package, and especially if you're seeing it with all the theatricality of a screening of Rocky Horror, I would say that would be mine.
You also you've acted it out, right? You did the
I did the stage play version.
The stage play version, yeah.
Yeah, I was Brad.
He did the stage play.
Yeah,
I did the
picture.
shadow casting.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. Will, do you want to go or do you want?
I mean, I will go. I would probably go if there's like a movie that I could throw on there that I'm like somebody, whether it's from a fan point of view or a filmmaker point of view, I would have to put in the first Jurassic Park.
Okay. Yeah.
Because I mean, it has stood the test of time, and kind of like when Lewis was saying, people know it, people quote it, people know the characters. Obviously, there's pops about it now. Like, it's like if they made a pop about a movie from like 20-something years ago, and I know even Back to the Future has them now as well, you're still like relevant, you're still iconic. But the cinematography plus the CGI that went into it and how everything looked so real, and to this day, I mean, like I said, whether you're a fan and just sitting back and enjoying the movie, or you want to break it down and learn the tricks of the trade and see how Spielberg went about doing it, there's a little bit for everyone. And I think that definitely, and even the storyline is still, was still kind of like, all right, that's pretty cool. There's different arcs. There's different things happening, but then at the end, it all converges. Does it have its little mistakes? Absolutely, it does. But it's nothing that it's like detrimental to the movie. So, So yeah, that would be my choice. Jurassic Park.
Mad respect.
Awesome. And I'm gonna have to go with another Spielberg movie.
Ooh, I'm loving this.
And that's my favorite movie of all time, which is Jaws,
I knew it.
Yep.
Which I know we talked about on the show before. Absolutely love it. Quotable. The song is iconic. The dun everything. I just it's one of those movies that literally could be on TV. Literally, it could be the last 20 minutes, and I'm gonna sit down and watch those final 20 minutes.
Well, yeah, because it's the last 20 minutes of the movie which matter the most anyway. So.
No, but like I don't. It's like you have that movie or those couple movies that no matter how far along into the film it is, if you catch it on TV, you'll just sit down and watch it.
Yep.
That is Jaws for me.
I
absolutely adore that movie.
I'm the same with Back to the Future.
Yeah, and I feel the same with Back to the Future also, and also Jurassic Park, the same
Yeah,
thing.
I kind of feel that about all these picks.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and I know that Jaws is usually, I feel like out of the 4, Jaws is always on the list. Maybe Back to the Future. How do you guys think that Jurassic Park is on like the most like top 100?
Yeah, it really
Yeah.
is.
Oh, yeah,
Even on the IMDb 100, it's on there. So
And 3, I believe. See, I should have gone movies that are not on this list that we're working on already, because I believe that all 4 of the movies that we have mentioned are actually on this bucket list. But what I love is also the fact that there was no prep before this. We didn't talk about this before the show. I caught you guys completely off guard.
Yep.
And yet, movies that are on this list, it kind of like reaffirms that these movies belong on a bucket list movie, because when you're picking movies out of thin air, so to speak, to say, hey, I believe that this movie should be one that one has to watch throughout their lifetime. Those 4 movies are on the list. So it's coincidence? Is it, somebody that made this list did their research? But
Yeah, clearly.
By the way, Zach, is Rocky Horror like your favorite like movie of all time, or?
It's definitely one of them.
Mm.
I'm sitting behind my big Rocky poster right now. So.
Okay. I figured. I don't think that's, well, I know Back to the Future is definitely not my cousin's favorite movie of all time.
No, but it's in my top 10.
Yeah,
and not top 10, top 15. Sorry.
How about for you, Will? Is Jurassic Park your favorite movie of all time, or no?
It is not, but I would probably put it like top 15, top 20.
Hey, man, 50% of it is.
I'm a little biased too, because I do Hammond as well, but
yeah, sure.
Neither here nor there.
I also acknowledge the fact that my top 10 movies aren't accessible movies. They're not for everybody.
They're
my personal picks.
cinema.
Yeah, they are cinema. As I sit next to my Clockwork Orange collection and Stanley Kubrick books. So yeah.
And your what's that other one that you have? The Blade Runner Collector's Edition, the one that comes in like the briefcase or whatever.
And I also have the Evil Dead, Book of the Dead.
Jealous as hell.
I love that thing. That thing is gorgeous, dude.
I would love
get one of those. I see it advertised in like pop-up ads on Facebook that are targeted at me. One of those like blankets that looks like the VHS of Evil Dead.
Yes,
I have one of Chucky actually.
Oh, you have one of those? Those things are so cool.
I have one of the original cover of Chucky.
Yes.
I don't know why, like, you bringing up those ads, Zach, just reminded me like those. I've come across like really weird, like people post like weird Wish ads that they get on Facebook.
Yeah.
It's just the most sexual and weird shit ever. You're like, why is Wish showing me all this stuff? So that's pretty crazy. 2 out of the 4 movies are from Spielberg. One of them we've talked about it. One we have not.
Ironically.
So hey, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. So stay tuned at this quick break when we come at you live with the main segment of our show, the main review, A New Hope.
Welcome to an exploration of sight and mind, a travel through the world of films and the artists that bring you these masterpieces. Do you love films, directors, actors, cinematographers, editors, composers, or any of the hundreds of artists that bring you these feats of art? I am Luislacau, your host into the world of films, your guide to Man Bites Retro.
Welcome back to the main segment of our show, the main review, my choice this week. The viewers decided to hate on Lewis, and they picked Star Wars Episode 4.
Thank you, everybody that voted!
So I'll be back in like 20 minutes.
So, of course, if you remembered, it was in between Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker, which I wanted because I absolutely really don't like that movie. Or Episode 4.
And it's a superior film.
It is really not. Fuck you for ever saying that, bro. Seriously. Dude, honestly, I will lose respect for anyone that says that Episode 9 is a better movie than A New Hope, dude. I will lose so much respect for somebody. But A New Hope was chosen, which is fine. I was good with either of them. So let's get right into it. Lewis, why do you hate A New Hope? Or do you hate it? Or do you just dislike it? I don't know.
All right, so my hatred of this movie is the fact that
hatred.
it's like this abomination of all these movies that I really like.
Oh,
and
God, here we go.
It's Mr. Fat
He
Boy
copied
with
Kurosawa.
The fat boy that looks like a frog, George Lucas, that he said for the longest time, "Oh, this is my script. I made this. This is an original idea," and it is the farthest thing from. The story is Hidden Fortress. The special effects came from 2001. C-3PO, which is one of the main characters, was an amalgamation between one of the characters from Hidden Fortress and from Metropolis, the actual physical look. What do you call it?
But Lewis, does it matter? Nothing is original anymore.
It is a grab from Flash Gordon. The actual structure of the film is Flash Gordon, beat for beat. Then on top of that, the what do you call it? The ending sequence, which is one of the best parts of this movie, is a complete ripoff, like shot for shot of Triumph of Will, coming from a Jew. Which that is like just like the last like thing that just like cements the fact that this guy is a complete fucking sellout. You know how atrocious that is to imitate Triumph of Will, which was literally fucking Nazi propaganda, and he replicated it in the award ceremony at the end of the film.
You know what's insane? I just looked up Triumph of Will, not knowing what it was. It has an 87% on Rotten Tomatoes.
It's a fucking phenomenal movie because it actually did its job, but it doesn't take away the fact that it is Nazi propaganda, and that is the ending of this film. It's literally Nazi propaganda. So
how so? I don't understand. What? How is it Nazi propaganda?
The end of this film?
Yeah.
The connection with Triumph of the Will.
So explain to me and to anybody else that has...
I think the question is like, because they're all standing...
No, it's not just that. It's shot for shot of how this woman shot Triumph of Will. And it's literally shot for shot for one of the sequences. The main sequence in Triumph of Will is exactly, literally, I was looking at a side-by-side comparison right before coming on the show, and it is shot for shot from it. And that's the thing. That's what this guy does. George Lucas he is one of the worst directors that are famous nowadays, besides like Michael Bay. I put him up there with Michael Bay. That's how bad I think this guy is.
I'll say this. I love A New Hope, but it is definitely the worst one of the three of the original trilogy. Like far. Hands down, by far.
Now, okay, so let me also go into these last things, and then I'll go into the good side of the film, because there is good. The credit sequence, the scrolling sequence, that is one of the most iconic things in these movies. He didn't want to put it in there. You know who actually told him to put it in there? Brian De Palma. Because he said, you need to have some shit to actually give us an idea of what the fuck is going on. Because nobody's going to have any clue what the hell you're doing in this movie. Because nobody's going to understand.
I remember there's a documentary on Disney Plus. It's like 2.5 hours long about the making of Star Wars.
So Brian De Palma created the title sequence, which is one of the most iconic things, and it's been replicated a million times. The what do you call it? The other thing is Harrison Ford as Han Solo. That was not his decision. He actually wanted Christopher Walken as Han Solo. Can you imagine that? Christopher fucking Walken as Han Solo? That is the decision that this man wanted to do. But Spielberg said, no, let's choose this guy, because he has a little bit more persona, he has more charisma, and he has a personality that fits this. Yeah. And dude, it's like, it's shit after shit after shit that it's like these decisions that this man made, because this film, the idea is so fucking good, yet the execution would have been shit if it wasn't for the people that were surrounding him And it's that yes man mentality that has created this man's ego since the beginning of this franchise.
Look, I'll say this, and this like transcends A New Hope. I love George Lucas for what he created. I love Star Wars. He is the worst thing ever in that fucking universe.
Exactly.
Star Wars is the coolest shit because of all the other people like Dave Filoni and all the people that have written in the expanded universe novels. That's why Star Wars is cool.
And it opens up. Okay, so now let me go into the good of this film. So the only thing that, all right, so my tainted view of A New Hope is George Lucas. That just taints the whole fucking film for me. And the fact that it just does, because when I see certain scenes, I'm like, I see this and I'm like, I can't unsee that. It's like Gladiator.
Maybe he's doing it out of love.
No, it's not. Because if it was out of love, he would have said in the interviews, "Oh, I'm doing it as an homage to this." And the fact is that the whole goddamn film is a goddamn homage. There's not an original shot in there that's done. That's his idea. That just it pisses me off, because it's like, yo, this guy, all he did was repackage this thing into something that the lowest common denominator of our society could understand.
I don't know.
And now, that's not a bad thing, because he made a very iconic film. But the fact that he did that, me personally, I can't forgive him for that. And I'm sorry, this film, it loses so many points because of that.
Here we go with the 1 or the 2, bro. I'm waiting for it.
So my personal score for this is a 5. Now, where I think that this belongs as a general audience, I would give this an 8.59 if it wasn't for that tainted image of that.
Lewis, you
So no, because you have to understand my point of view. Like,
no. I'm not saying that. You need to figure out a way of like, dude, you just shat on this movie and you gave it a 5. A 5.
That's still like a watchable movie, but
I don't understand the way you talked about this movie. It should be like a 1, a 2, not a 5.
Because I talked all the negative. I haven't had a chance to talk the positive.
Ah, okay.
So I love the interaction with the characters. The characters, George Lucas is best when he is creating characters. His ideas of creating people, personas, and building this universe, it is bar none some of the best shit that's ever been out there. That's what makes Star Wars iconic, is the characters that are behind it. Between Alec Guinness as what do you call it, Obi-Wan, and
Did he hate the working on this movie?
He hated it because he was working with George Lucas that kept directing him a certain way, and he's like, no, I'm not doing that. Like, Guinness and him have this fucking hatred because George Lucas kept telling him to do the most absurd shit.
How, like, in what way?
That's actually the reason why he got killed off in the first film. He was actually supposed to be a through line in all 3 films.
Huh.
And George Lucas decided to kill him off in the first film because he's like, I can't deal with this guy. So he actually changed the script, which actually created something even better. So again, going back to this,
not 100% accurate.
I don't know. I've never heard that before. I'll take it as a grain of salt, but sure.
There is documentation and interviews that he gave, not Lucas.
Alec Guinness?
Yes. Where he said that he signed on just for the one movie because that's all he wanted to do. And he was totally okay with him just being in the one movie, even with him dying. And he regretted it because then when Star Wars took off the way that he did, he had to basically go back to Lucas and say, could you please put me in the next 2 because this is pretty much a moneymaker.
That's not what I've heard, and I've seen a bunch of interviews with Guinness from the 80s and 90s, and it was basically, and also, what's this guy's name? Oh my god!
What I'm saying, I don't believe.
Marshall, the producer.
I've heard that Guinness didn't like working on the movie, but I've never heard that because of his relationship with
right?
What's his fucking name? George Lucas. He rewrote Obi-Wan dying. I've never heard that before, ever in my life. So I'll take that as a grain of salt. But I have heard that, yes, Alec Guinness did not like working. I don't remember why, but he did not like working on A New Hope or Star Wars.
It was actually Gary Kurtz. Gary Kurtz, he was one of the producers on the film that he was mentioning that whole sequence with Lucas and Guinness that they couldn't get along, and he actually changed the whole script to kill him off so he wouldn't have to deal with him in any future episodes if they did progress at all, because he had no expectation obviously at that time.
Yeah, I watching that documentary on Disney Plus, which is really good. It's just a little long. It's 2.5 hours. Yeah. They do talk about that, like he showed the movie. I remember in the documentary they talk about that he showed like a semi-finished product.
Oh, dude.
And no one liked it.
Yeah.
No one.
It's just, imagine the original. So do you remember the original film without all the edits and the enhancements?
I've actually never seen Star Wars prior to the edits in 97.
Okay. Yeah. So when you look at the special effects back then, you see the plastic, you see the things. It looks like fucking Buck Rogers. Like, it looks really bad. The special effects are really fucking atrocious.
It is also 77.
It doesn't matter. 2001 Space Odyssey was 69, and the special effects are way better, more superior. And that was 9 years before. And that rotoscoping with the scenes, the spaceships, all that shit, that was shit that Kubrick actually mastered, because it existed from before, but he created it for sci-fi and built something that was able to be emulated by a million other people. And it's just the film, when you see the original context, if you see it as the original, you see the loss of quality drastically.
I've seen some of the scenes, like I know that Jabba in the original is a guy. Well, he doesn't even show up in the original, does he?
The original? Yeah, he does.
He's a guy. He's not even like a slug.
No, he doesn't.
Oh, no. He doesn't show up in the original.
He shows up in one of the
one.
He shows up in one of the films, and he's not a slug. He's just a dude.
Yeah, the original filming of it was
a guy.
The guy, like a very heavy-set guy with fur and stuff, and then they cut that from the original theatrical,
which is atrocious.
Which
then when they went back and added it with the special edition, because we had seen Jabba the Hutt as the green slob that we know him as, they superimposed the CGI on top of the original actor, and that's the scene that we got afterward.
Again, I can separate Lucas from A New Hope. I don't like him. I don't like his decisions in certain things. I think his decision to like that stupidity that people are asking for the original edits of the films, and he refuses to release them. I don't understand that. That's fucking stupid. People will literally buy those movies.
I know.
I don't understand
more marketing that he could do, but
I don't understand the whole like Greedo shot first. Like, no, Han shot first. Han is a piece of shit. Literally. Han is a fucking smuggler. He literally probably murders people. Like, come on, man. That shit like that pisses me off. And then the whole thing, like that Lucas has said that it might be a joke that Jar Jar is his favorite character, when I think Jar Jar is the most atrocious thing in Star Wars, like hands down. Yes, I totally agree. George Lucas is like the worst thing of Star Wars. I like him in the sense that he created that universe, but
it goes back to the same thing that I say about Harry Potter. I love the universe that's created by the fans. I love the unison that it has created, and it sparks the imagination of so many fucking people because of the universe that it created. And that is the best part of this. That it's the same thing as Harry Potter, that I have to give credit when it's due.
But also, without A New Hope, there would be nothing.
Exactly. So I have to give it its partial credit, and I do have to give it that score, a 5, because at least I have to acknowledge the fact that it did start this whole thing. So that's even with all the shit that I just talked, I still have to give it a 5 because of the impact that it did.
And you haven't even talked like the score, the music.
Well, yeah, that goes without saying. Anything that John Williams touches is gold. If this was scored by anybody else, it probably wouldn't have done anything.
And how iconic Vader is, which I know Vader is straight up a samurai, but still, whatever.
And also, that was the other thing. Vader was actually supposed to be some British guy, and they decided in post production to put change the voice
to what's this guy's name?
John Earl Jones or
James Earl Jones. Which now, I can never see Vader without that iconic deep voice,
Yeah.
I love this movie. It's definitely the worst one of the three. You could definitely tell that when they gave the reins to another director like Irving Kershner for Empire and Richard Marquand for Return of the Jedi, they did a much more cohesive and fantastic job than
they did. And you could see the jump in technology. You could see the jump, and you could see the jump in the actual actors, the performances.
Don't look any further if you think that George Lucas is a good director. Look at the prequel trilogy. The prequel trilogy, I love it in the sense because it gives me it continues the story, and I get to see like what happened to Anakin and blah 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 blah. But they're not good movies. Have you ever seen that video? I don't know if I brought it up on the show, but I've definitely talked about it with some other friends where they have a storyboard of, I think it's Revenge of the Sith or one of the prequel trilogies, and they give Lucas a highlighter, and they tell him highlight everything that you want to be in CGI, and he fucking goes crazy on that dry erase board.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
This guy, they look over to this guy, and this guy has this face of just like, what the fuck is this guy doing, dude? It's so crazy, but yeah, I don't know, man. Like, I love A New Hope. The music, Vader, like you said, the characters like Han, Leia, Luke, even R2 and C-3PO and Obi-Wan and Chewie, they're all iconic, man. I don't know. I do have my problems with the movie. Like, I understand.
Plus, also, just honestly, the Luke Skywalker like character, I fucking hate him. I cannot stand that whiny bitch. Like, I just want to slap him in the face sometimes.
Why is he's not whiny?
He's whiny? A whiny bitch in this first movie.
When does he whine?
He's whining. The whole fucking movie is him whining about, I don't want to do my chores. I don't want to do my chores, Auntie Em.
He's a fucking 18-year-old kid.
Yeah, he has to do his fucking chores, dude. He has to do shit around the house.
Lewis, get back to me when you lived your entire life on a desert fucking planet. Okay, bro?
But he was a whiny bitch. The whole goddamn...
I don't think so.
First, 40 minutes, he's a whiny bitch.
He's a fucking teenager.
Watch that movie, and you'll see how much he fucking whines.
I have, and it doesn't bother me. He doesn't whine.
He whines a lot.
And again, I want
to punch him in the face by
you get annoyed by the fucking dumbest shit. Like, I shouldn't even listen to you, dude. Also, you fucking talk so much shit about a movie and then give a 5, dude. It makes no goddamn sense, bro. I swear to God.
So, William, what do you think of this movie?
I wasn't even done.
That hell no.
What? What'd you say, Will?
Said I'm not following that. Hell no.
Dude, like, I didn't even finish. Like, there are sequences that are beautiful, which I've brought up before on the show, like and I know the when he's looking at the two sons,
Lawrence of Arabia.
Yes, I know.
Uh-huh.
Fuck off, dude. Literally, who touched you as a kid, bro? I swear to God, man.
Apparently, it was George Lucas.
It's so fucking annoying, man. It's so fucking annoying. I swear, bro. I'm looking forward.
I mean this very.
Why? Because I like cinema.
Very nonchalant.
No, legit. I can't wait for the day when someone like comes up to you and they just don't like fucking Lord of the Rings, dude, or Kubrick, dude. I'll laugh.
That's actually what I was about to say. I'm like, I'm waiting for the day that somebody comes forward and just rips Kubrick apart. Like, all his movies, just completely tears them, and I want to just see him holding the pieces that used to be his heart. That's like nonchalantly, just like killing his childhood.
Again, my thing is, bro, if you're gonna talk so much shit about a movie, then give it the rating it deserves. Don't give it a 5. Give it a 1. Give it a 0.5. Give it a 2.
I still have to give it a credit where it's due.
But literally, you ripped on that movie.
Yeah.
Like, and this is not the first time you've done this, where you rip on a movie and then you give it this score, and I'm like, that makes absolutely no sense, dude.
So if you score this as a 5 rating, it's a 2.5.
But we're fucking rating it on a 10 scale.
I know, but I'm
5.
saying, like, a 5 is not a good score. That's a fucking D.
A 5 is mediocre.
Exactly.
Literally. How I look at it is 5 is mediocre, 6 is okay, 7 is good, and then so on and so forth. You're telling me
still
that
a D.
I don't look at it as a D. I look at it as mediocre. It's not
exactly.
good. It's not bad. It's in the middle.
It is.
Chat on this movie. Talked about it like it was the worst thing ever.
Well, and I also said that the worst part of this movie is George Lucas.
Then fucking take him away from the movie, dude.
I can't, because his fingerprints are all over this shit.
Like, I don't fucking understand it, bro.
His fingerprints are all over this, but I can't dismiss the fact that his characters, the fucking flying of the Millennium Falcon, that I don't know how many times I emulated that as a kid, and it started with this film, so I have to give it credit where it's due.
But William, do you understand what I'm saying?
I totally get what you're saying, but I mean,
he shits on this movie and gives it a 5. That doesn't make sense. You literally talked about it like it's the worst fucking thing you've ever seen in your life. It doesn't make sense, dude. It's weird. It's like, what?
So let's leave it up to let's hear from the listeners about this. I want to hear what everybody thinks about my opinion about movies, and what I think. All right, so let's rephrase that. What are your thoughts about me scoring a movie the way that I do?
Oh my God.
So I would love to hear what you guys have to think about this.
Literally?
Please post it on the Facebook page on Friday when this drops. That way I want to hear everybody's opinion. We'll make a thing out of it.
Just out of morbid fucking curiosity. And don't give me a review. I just want to know, what is a 1 to you? What is a fucking 1 to you?
That fucking wannabe porno that William made me watch.
That B movie shit?
I didn't make you watch it. I just reviewed it. You decided to watch it.
Give me an actual movie that is actually a fucking movie, not some B film shit from fucking Amazon. What is a 1?
Trolls 2.
Okay. See, that I can agree with. That's a I don't know. Whatever, dude. Whatever. I'm done. I'm fucking done. It's just stupid. It doesn't make sense to me. It really doesn't. It's not even funny. It's like, it makes absolutely no sense to me. You literally fucking ranked on this movie and give it a 5. A mediocre score. Middle of the road.
Movie.
Middle of the road.
Mediocre.
But dude, I wish
a lot of good. There is still a lot of good, like I brought up.
Disconnect yourself from yourself for a second. Have an existential crisis and hear yourself. Dude, you'd probably say the same thing. You're like, dude, this guy's talking about this movie like it's a fucking 2, not a 5. Literally. That's what fucking irks me and makes no sense. You literally talk about this shit like it's the worst thing you've ever seen in your life. On that note, I give this movie like a fucking 8.
William,
damn it, man.
What do you give it?
William has said nothing.
I've said nothing. I've just let you guys
go ahead. No. You have every right to say your thoughts about A New Hope. Please go ahead.
Well, I mean, anything that I say at this point, I'm just gonna hear Lois grumble and
I will not say anything. I will stay quiet. I promise. I will respect your review.
That's a first.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, I look at A New Hope from the standpoint of, like, okay, you guys looked at it from the inside out.
Okay.
Right? I look at A New Hope from the outside in. Obviously, I know, like everything that you guys just talked about, but I always try to look at the positive of movies. And like you guys said, also, it's like, look at what it started.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, he took, like, all these other movies that were great that he took from, it's like they were all great masterpieces of cinema. And he made, like, this megazord of a movie.
Megazord. Let's make it more like Power Rangers.
Okay, Megazord. That's what I meant. He made, like, this Megazord of a movie by taking, and they say that, like, copying. What is it? Like, copying is the outmost something of flattery.
Form of flattery. Yeah, it's like the yeah.
And he started. I guess I don't know. Like, to me, Star Wars is what. Also, on top of the movies and on top of everything that followed, was like the first, and if I'm wrong, but the first openly nerd fandom that was okay to be a fan of out in the open and not have to hide that you enjoyed something that was of a fantasy world.
I would not. Nothing against Star Trek. I don't think Star Trek has ever been to the degree that Star Wars has been, ever.
Oh,
nothing.
So, I mean,
nothing against Star Trek. By the way,
if you're going to touch Middle Earth, then
like,
if you're going to touch fantasy, Middle Earth, the Lord of the Rings books. I mean, it was the highest grossing book of all time besides the Bible.
It was, but I mean, they were like, people were not running around cities dressed up as
Frodo.
Yeah, they were.
and I'm not crapping on Lord of the Rings. I'm just making a comparison.
Yeah.
But this is exactly what I mean. Lord of the Rings was one of the highest selling books of all time at that point in 1977. And obviously there was a huge fan base, but it was underground. Because if you came out and you were like, I like these short people that run around with a ring and they're trying to throw a volcano, you will get your ass beaten.
I will argue that point and I'm gonna end it at this. Just my side of the argument. The people that were trying to play the animated movie that came out, the Ralph Bakshi film, Led Zeppelin, Pink Floyd, the Beatles, all three of those were signed on. So
that doesn't mean anything.
You're talking about the three biggest bands of that era.
Yes, but again, look at the difference of what it brought. Whereas Lord of the Rings still stayed underground even after those movies, Star Wars in 1977 just hit the ground running in the open, like in the wide open, and it was
I'll give you that.
Like when you think about it, it's like there were people that would have beaten your ass in high school for Lord of the Rings, but then you're like, but you like Star Wars and so do I. And all of a sudden there was something in common to where it's like, well, I can't beat your ass over Star Wars because I like Star Wars too. And it just opened this, like, it brought nerd to the forefront for the first time, even maybe for a short while, because then it went back underground for a little bit, or at least the conventions part did. It was okay to like space fantasies and talk about it out in the open. And then on top of it, it brought sequels. Like, even if we just talk about the original trilogy, nothing past episode 6, right?
6, yeah.
It was just like, it left us dangling. And then it gave us one of the biggest twists in cinematic history that nobody saw coming. That's like, spoiler alert, Vader is Luke's father?
Dude, to a little tidbit, that is one of the things that I swear to God, I wish I could have been in a fucking theater in 1980, dude.
Oh my God, yes.
That shit would have been fucking nuts, dude. If I was a kid watching Empire Strikes Back and I heard that, I think I would have lost my mind.
Like, the closest thing that I've witnessed in a movie theater, and Louis, just bear with me on this one, because I can really hear the eye rolling, to Vader saying, "Luke, I am your father." In Endgame, when Captain America finally picks up the hammer, and then like when the Avengers come back, and you get these crowds of people that are like going nuts over this scene. And I feel that must have been the reaction back in 1980, as like you see Vader going, "No, I am your father," and just like this collective gasp. And when I first heard it, I didn't believe it. When I first heard it, I thought it was Vader playing mind games with him to try and get him to come to the dark side.
Well, yeah, that's the norm. People in 1980, when they saw that movie, that's right at the end of the movie. So you had to wait literally 3 years for Return of the Jedi to come out to be like, is he actually telling the truth? Or is he lying to Luke to, seduce him to the dark side? It's like, holy shit, dude. So like, the biggest cliffhanger ever.
Not only was it a twist, but it's like, you know what? Fuck your feelings. We're going to make it a cliffhanger now and make it 2 years for it.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, like, I don't think that people really saw that after New Hope there was going to be a sequel. Because A New Hope, if that was the only Star Wars movie to have ever come out, it's a standalone movie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The only thing is that Vader doesn't die at the end of it. And
well, you don't know that because his TIE fighter goes fucking flying out and then they blow up the Death Star. He could have easily they could have written like he died in the explosion,
They absolutely could have.
If I'm not mistaken, that scene with the TIE fighter was actually added in the
one where his TIE fighter starts going crazy and
I don't think that was in the original.
I don't know actually. Was it? I don't know. I'm not 100% sure. It might have been added in the special editions. It might not have been. So I really don't.
I honestly don't remember it as a kid, but that was what, 25 years ago, 30 years ago.
Yeah, the special editions came out.
It was because the first time I saw Star Wars, the first time I saw New Hope, again, it was in Italian in a black and white little television, and I remember that scene. So
okay.
3 things, but.
Yeah, the special editions came out for the 20th anniversary in 97. They re-released the films in theaters. The added stuff.
A New Hope is also the only Star Wars movie that can be a standalone movie. Everything else after that came with cliffhangers.
By the way, I don't condone pirating, but you can find the specialized versions of the films online.
Yeah, you could actually find it on YouTube.
I have the original trilogy on VHS.
No, but like Blu-ray quality, despecialized versions.
Oh, Blu-ray quality.
Yeah, like you can find them on the internet. Again, I don't.
Yeah, they're on YouTube actually. The despecialized.
But you can find them
at least for now.
Yeah, at least for now. I don't think they'll be on YouTube for long. Lucasfilm will probably like take that shit down.
So I mean, like, to me, Star Wars, like A New Hope. I keep saying Star Wars, but when I say that, I'm talking about New Hope specifically.
Well, I mean, that's the original title. If you think
it's Star Wars. They added.
Well, the original title of the fucking film was Adventures of the Star Killer, as taken from the Journal of the Willis Saga 1: The Star Wars. That was the original fucking title before.
God knows, bro. Yeah, the original titles, for anyone that does not know, is A New Hope was just Star Wars. Empire Strikes Back was not Star Wars. They just called it Empire Strikes Back. And then Return of the Jedi was just Return of the Jedi. They added the episodes.
Originally, it was Revenge of the Jedi.
Yes.
And then they changed it because they felt that Revenge just was too dark.
A little too hardcore. So, Will, what do you give A New Hope? What is your rating?
I give it I give it an 8.
An 8? A 2? That's what you should be giving it, bud.
Yeah, I give it a 2. I love it so much. But
again, like I said, man, Star Wars is at its best when Lucas does not have his
At the helm,
fingers
yeah.
in it. You know,
I agree 100%. If honestly, like, if you take out Lucas's little kind of quims and shit like that, I think this could honestly be, or the knowledge of these other films, if you take it off, which is honestly the general population of America doesn't have knowledge of most of these films that I brought up. So it's very easy to make this an 8, honestly, and that's my original score. If you're going in this without the knowledge of film or the pre-knowledge that I had that taints this film, then this is a fucking 8 film. It is good. It's just when you have this knowledge, it does play its role and it does drop it by at least 3 points, in my opinion.
But now you also know why I didn't want you to review what you originally were going to review in the thing, because like when you find out behind the scene knowledge, it kills things for people, and that's why I was like, I begged you, and when it comes to be my turn for an individual review, I will repay the favor, and you'll understand when we get there. But
again, if you're getting into Star Wars, like, this is the tip of the iceberg. Honestly, go read the books, go watch the animated shows. Like, this is
especially the animated shows, living,
breathing universe, and there's so much to it. And the movies are literally just like 2% of this universe. Like, go explore. It's so cool. But I agree. I think that Lucas is definitely, when he's the furthest away, that's why the prequel trilogy is not great. Even the sequel trilogy is not good. Unfortunately, some of the movies in the sequel trilogy, some of them. But on that note, that was a heated debate. That was a long, heated debate of A New Hope. Stay tuned at this quick break when we come at you with Spielbinge.
As the songs of awakening rang through, the world was created. The silence was broken.
Middle-earth, with its rolling hills, broken mountains, flowing rivers, and beautiful forest, was created.
Cellar Door is a journey into the mythology, the mystery, and the beauty of Middle-earth. Sit back,
close your eyes,
and imagine.
All right, guys, welcome back for our new segment, Not So New Anymore. This is where our lovely guest, Zach, brings us the filmography of Steven Spielberg. One movie every week until we finish it.
Spielbinge.
Yeah. So, Zach, what's the movie this week, bud?
So this week would be Empire of the Sun. Yes.
Quiet as fuck for me, baby. I'll see you guys in 20 minutes.
This is an interesting one, Zach. What do you think? Like, what was your favorite part of this movie?
Oh, I was digging this movie, man. It was like really enthralling. The initial raid sequence where his little town is being invaded and evacuated, that was intense. Came out of nowhere, blindsided you, really knocked me off my feet. I mean, there were several sequences that were just astounding. It's a really epic.
It really is. And I hadn't seen this movie since I was like maybe 14, 15. Mm-hmm. And I revisited it just for this show because I was like, all right, I got to rewatch this. It's been forever. And I rewatched it and I was like, holy shit.
Yeah,
as an adult,
right?
You could appreciate this movie so much more. And I was a historian fan as a kid, but holy crap, this movie is so much better as an adult.
So it follows. It's inspired by a true story, inspired by an autobiography of a main guy. It follows this like spoiled, privileged British kid who played by Christian Bale in his first ever performance, I believe. It says introducing Christian Bale. I believe this is his first film, and he's living in a British colony settlement in China at the shift at the beginning of World War II, and it gets invaded by Japan, and he winds up on this odyssey, eventually landing in a prison camp where the majority of the movie takes place. And it's about the relationships that he has and how age catches up with him. He's like 13, and yet he's just, by the end of it, he's this like broken adult human being. It's a harsh watch, but it's really good.
It is. And it touches on something that American history doesn't touch on. It doesn't touch on what the Japanese did when they invaded China. There's this whole story about the raping of Nanking, because Nanking was a major battle that Japan and China fought, and the Japanese literally burned. They went street by street and razed the whole town. Like, they burned everything with people inside of their homes, and they locked the people in their homes. Like, it was savage, the shit that they did. And nobody talks about that in history, though. Nobody talks about that.
Yeah, so it was really refreshing to see a light shined on an aspect of World War II that isn't usually touched upon. And you do, obviously, with it being a World War II movie, you do see Spielberg's reverence and obsession toward that topic.
Oh, big time.
You also get to see how great he works with kids again, with the lead performance being a little 12-year-old Christian Bale.
You could see that this was kind of like a lead up or a test trial for Schindler's List.
Okay.
You see it in a lot of the shots, the composition of the shots. I think you could kind of see the similarities between Schindler's List and this film.
Yeah, I feel that.
It just dawned on me. He has directed a lot of World War II movies.
Oh yeah, that's his favorite subject.
Is it?
Oh yeah. Like that's what actually inspired him to make films initially, was that him as a kid, he would actually grab his father's camera and reenact World War II battles and stuff like that. So he would create these little, like, out of these little toy soldiers and shit like that in the sand in the backyard. Yep. And he would create these epic battle sequences, and that's his inspiration was like mine, very much like mine, because his father was obsessed with World War II.
I feel like a lot of Americans are.
Yeah.
So my question is, since I haven't seen this movie, how is Christian Bale's acting since this was his first time?
It's really solid. I mean, it's both a natural raw talent from him, but then again, also a testament to Spielberg really knowing how to work with kids. It's kind of astonishing to go back and look at this and be like, oh wow, and then he became the performer that he is now. Like, it's really interesting
to see the progression. But
yeah,
honestly, being just having Spielberg as kind of like the headlining tour for his start in Hollywood, that's a huge perk, because he got introduced to one of the best child directors in cinema, period. Like, there's no comparison to him. Even like J.J. Abrams has tried multiple times. There's nothing that holds a torch to Spielberg's capability to bring out performance in kids that have never had experience before. It's fucking phenomenal.
Yeah.
William, you've been quiet. Have you seen this movie or not really?
It has been a minute since I've seen this movie, but I do remember it. Like, not obviously as vividly as I haven't just seen it, but I do know that when I hear this movie, it's a movie that I really liked. I want to say when I saw it, I was with my mom and my sister, and like, I was homeschooled for a good part of my life. So the homeschooling that I got wasn't like your regular traditional homeschooling. Obviously, there was, like English and everything else, but like things like this movie, we would watch it because it just happened to be on television, right? Mm-hmm. And then after it, my mom would make a lesson of it. We would talk about it. She would take out her old history books, because when you study history in Europe, it is a very, like, they cover everything. Like you were saying here, like, a lot of people don't tend to talk about certain parts of the Second World War or certain part of, like, atrocities.
Yeah, we're very America-centric.
But
I've heard Japan does not talk about it.
Japan tries to sweep it under. I mean, obviously, there's certain things that they can't.
Well, most countries do. It's not like the what do you call it? Italians talk about the atrocities that they did, like clear or none. You know, like some of the shit that they pulled with the French and with the South African, North Africans. Like that there's some horrible shit that they did, and same thing with the French,
or even the way that we gloss over.
No, but that's what I'm trying to say. It's growing up, I was taught all these things, and even as an Italian family, my mom didn't sugarcoat stuff. My mom was like, my mom's Italian, but she's not like proud Italian. She's like, I was born in Italy, that makes me Italian. But it doesn't necessarily mean that I'm going to go and die for my country and my country's the best country in the world. She's sure as fuck not. She's the first person to talk like what the Italian government to this day is one of the most corrupt crap government in the world, and it will never fix itself because there's constantly
followed by the French
mafia-related people that buy their politicians and everything. So. The advantage of like having my mom being my teacher is that like she was never like, oh, we're not going to talk about this because reasons. And she's like, no, we're going to talk about this. Like it happened. Yeah. Whether I tell you or whether you find out elsewhere, you're going to find out. So it might as well be at home and tell you and answer all the questions that you have.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But when we watched this movie, I remember afterwards, because up until that point, like, I was like, Second World War, it's the Nazis versus the Americans. The Russians were in there somehow, and then the Japanese were there.
The Russians were, like, one of the most crucial parts of the war. If it wasn't for the Russians, we'd be speaking German, dude. Seriously.
But, like...
If it wasn't for the Russians...
like, the first, like, open door to, like, all right, let's talk about the war in the East. Let's talk about, what the Japanese and the Chinese and then also the Koreans were thrown in there as well.
Yeah.
So this movie really stayed with me as far as like the subject matter and seeing what, like this difference in cultures and it was almost like watching my family in the sense of my older sister is Asian. Like, she's South Korean. So, seeing an Asian, Asian kids with Caucasian kids, to me, it was nothing different because that's what was going on at home. Like, I'm Latino, but I look white. My parents are white, and my sister's Asian. So, it was just kind of like, I had more questions as to why are they not getting along like we get along. So, because I was young. I forgot how old I was, but I wasn't like, like in middle school or in high school. I'm like, why are they doing that? Like, why are they not getting along? Like, why can't they just all live together like we do at home, where it's different races, different, backgrounds, but yet we live in harmony. Unless you were my parents, and if you ever seen Italian people fight, you know what I'm talking about. But I know I like this movie. I'm actually going to watch this movie again, if not tomorrow, on Wednesday, because I want to refresh my memory about this. It completely slipped my mind to watch this, and I apologize about that. But I know I liked it, and this is why when Zach mentioned it a couple of weeks ago, I got excited because I'm like, I remember this movie, and I completely forgot it was Spielberg. Mm-hmm. Do I think it's one of his best movies? No, but do I think that he did a very good job depicting life back then for, these different cultures? Absolutely. And that's why I really like it. And the fact that, we're introduced to a young Batman is beautiful.
Young Batman.
So that's what he's credited as.
Right. I wanted to throw a little thing in there just because a little FYI for everybody out there that's a historian buff and all that stuff. That another thing that's never talked about, and I had to throw it in there, is the French are the reason we had World War II. If it wasn't for the French imposing the tariffs and the regulations and the compensation and all that stuff on the Germans, Hitler would never have risen, because they wouldn't have fallen that deep into a depression. And that is the reason we had World War II, was because of the French. And people don't talk about that either.
The more you
Well,
know.
we also had World War II because during World War I, when a British soldier had
turned
killing Hitler, he didn't pull the trigger and kill him, and that would have also avoided World War II.
This is turned into a history debate instead of talking about a movie.
Okay, but it's really interesting to me, because I've been watching. I just got the Criterion Blu-ray for Great Dictator, the Chaplin movie.
So good.
Okay.
And it has so many documentaries and featurettes on it about the time period and stuff like that, and talking about like the different rise and like what was happening in Europe versus America versus the East. It was so yeah. No, my mind has been on this, man.
It's just funny. I knew once you brought up this movie, like Lewis is just like, yes, history, specifically World War II. Let's go.
I love my World War II history, and it's the history it's the American History X, the shit that's never brought up, the shit that's behind the closed doors, and it's never brought up in any of the schools it's real history, not tainted by any of the governments that wherever we live, because it's every government. It's not just the French, it's not just the Italians, it's the Americans, it's the Japanese, it's us trying to censor ourselves and what do you call it, delete our past, and that's never a way to live. You have to understand everything in history before you could actually progress.
And this episode will do really great for you guys because, like you say, World War II history, and just the nation's dad's ears perk up.
Yeah. That's a save for the next segment.
That's very true. Fuck off. All right, so any closing thoughts on Empire of the Sun?
It's long. I think that's like my only I wish it was a little shorter. Past that, this movie knocked me out.
I mean, It's 2.5 hours, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Lewis?
I think it's a phenomenal film, honestly. Revisiting it as an adult, because as a child, this is not a movie for children. It's just because of the pacing, the what do you call it, the actual stuff behind it. The
subject matter.
Yeah, the subject matter, thank you. And I think this is probably a good 8 out of 10. And that jumps from a 5 for my previous assessment. So,
wow.
Yeah.
Okay. You want to say anything else, William? Or
I mean, I'm very much with them where, like I said, I have to rewatch it to really give it a educated, what do you call it, rating. But from what I do remember, an 8 definitely is a very good number to give it. But if you are ever on the fence to watch this movie, watch it, because it's streaming on a lot of things right now.
Yeah, I just checked. It's streaming on Amazon.
It's on Amazon, it's on Hulu, HBO Go, or HBO. So there's definitely options to watch this movie, and it's good. And whether you like Spielberg, whether you like biopics, I highly recommend it.
Not to mention some killer Malkovich.
Yeah. Dude, his performance is fucking phenomenal in this.
Yeah.
Awesome. So what is on the list for next week, Zach?
That would be Always.
Ugh.
Yes!
What polar opposites? Yes!
Oh my god, I love this movie.
What?
All right, as always, thank you, Zach.
As always. I see what you did there.
Thank you, Zach.
Yes, thank you guys.
And we'll see you guys on our next segment, but stay tuned for the next Spiel Binge. And of course, stay tuned after this quick break when we come at you, never live, not live, with the final segment of our show, the individual reviews.
Whee! Bye, everybody.
All right, guys, welcome back for the final segment of our show, the individual reviews, never live. I'm going to be going first this week. I'm reviewing a movie. I haven't reviewed a movie in a hot minute.
That's what we usually do.
No, but I haven't reviewed personally in my individual reviews a movie in a while.
Well, hey, in my opinion, it's been a long while since you reviewed a good movie.
Yeah. This is not going to be a good one either.
Oh, God damn it, Brandon. Fucking hell.
Yeah, but we give your opinion a 2.
Exactly. Fuck you. So, I came across this movie on the Reddits. People were raving about the action sequences and whatnot.
Extraction.
Yes, Extraction. So,
Damn it.
Is that yours?
This is the chance that you run. This is the risk that you run when you go last in the lineup. All right, hang on. No, yeah, I mean it was, but
No, we could do a double. Let's go, baby.
No.
Come.
You do you. I already have a backup ready to go.
You son of a bitch, come here.
Don't worry about it. No.
So, I do want to hear your thoughts still on Extraction. That would be nice.
You don't want to hear my thoughts.
Oh, you saw it too?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So, Extraction is a action thriller movie starring my main man, my beautiful Australian man, Chris Hemsworth. Directed by Sam Hargrave, who is actually a stuntman that collaborates with the Russo brothers, which they are producers on this movie. Yeah, I'll say this: the movie's not good. I like the action.
Really not.
The
best part is the action.
Dude, the action sequences are insane.
This is like it's a non-stylized version of like a Michael Bay movie.
It's like it tries too hard to be John Wick.
Yeah, it really does.
It really does. So the plot is basically he's an ex-mercenary and he has been hired to rescue the son of a drug lord that's imprisoned by another drug lord. And plot-wise, yeah, the movie's fucking garbo. But
there's a plot?
Yeah, exactly. Half the time I was like, what's going on? But the action sequences, though, like specifically the first like major action sequence when he gets the kid, when he had just saved the kid, and they're going through like the apartments and shit. I was like, whoa! Like it feels visceral, man. Like the camera is real close, and Chris Hemsworth just like stabbing people and shooting people. It's like I said, very much trying to be John Wick, but not succeeding.
Yeah, really not. It really doesn't.
I like that sequence. The sequence on the bridge, the climax of the film is pretty good too, action-wise. Makes absolutely no sense. He gets, whatever. I'm going to spoil it. Fuck you. He gets shot in the neck and falls into the river, and then he's signed on for another one. How does that make any sense?
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
So,
it's like, why can't he make good movies like what do you call it, Cabin in the Woods?
Nothing against. He does a fine job as an actor.
Yeah, he does. It's not his fault. It's the fucking director's fault. You can tell the direction that he's given is shit.
There was a couple moments like CGI wise that I was like, this looks doo doo. Specifically, when they're driving the truck and he's like, let's jump out, and then the truck like blows up.
It looks cheap. It looks like cheap. Something that was made straight for video type of shit. Yeah,
and then the helicopter kind of looked cheap when she shoots out the tail of it with the rocket launcher.
Yeah, just a lot of the major action sequences that you could tell were CGI'd. They really look CGI. They look like Sharknado, a little bit above Sharknado quality.
But the visceralness of like him shooting these guys and like beating them and stabbing them like that.
Yeah,
that was done well.
When they're doing the practicals, it's pretty fucking awesome.
Yeah, you're like, whoa. My favorite sequence of the film is when he gets into the knife fight with the other guy.
I call this turn your brain off and enjoy the bullshit that's going on screen. It's the same thing I do with Transformers.
I
turn my brain off and enjoy what the fuck is just flashing images in my face.
I'm fine if I become the resident like anime dude that also reviews really shitty movies on this podcast. It's fine. I just wanted to see kind of something. I'd heard really good things about the action sequences, the choreography of it and whatnot, and I was like, damn, maybe this is something on the same level as John Wick. And it was not, unfortunately. But that's fine. It was still fun. The 2 hours were fun. I didn't hate the movie. It was really
long.
I didn't think it was long.
I was looking at my clock after like 45 minutes. I was like, oh my god, only 45 minutes. Fuck. William, how about you, man? You've been quiet.
I don't even think he's here. I think he had to step away for a second. Well, so I give the movie a 6.
Okay.
Yeah.
William?
Yeah.
Okay. What did you think of the movie? Guys, I know I'm pretty sure you had to step away for a second. What did you think?
I've been sitting here quietly the entire time.
Oh, really? I legit was like, oh, I could have heard like, I could have sworn I heard you like far away, and I was like, oh, he probably had something to do, like an emergency or something. Guess not.
I just stepped away for a minute. No, stepped away. I sat here quietly for listening to you guys.
So what are your very concise thoughts of Extraction? Just really quick.
Concise.
It was a good popcorn movie. It was a good I Am More Than Just Thor performance.
Well, if you want that, just go to watch Cabin in the Woods.
Well, Cabin in the Woods was pre-Thor, or right at the beginning of Thor, so that doesn't count.
What is your obsession? What are you guys? Why do you guys review bad movies?
Why does it bother you so much?
Because it's recommendations for people to watch. Not.
I mean, like I recommend this,
dude. Maybe some person that is listening to our show was like, should I watch Extraction? And we literally just told them, don't waste your time. It's a fucking movie podcast. Don't take it so seriously, dude. Review whatever. You want to review Dirt? A fucking YouTube channel about dirt? Go ahead.
God. It feels like the main characters and I understand it, kind of, like all the main cast superheroes that have been superheroes for the past 10 years on Marvel are trying to do whatever they can to distance themselves from, like, you know, from saying, like, hey, we're more than just Thor. I'm more than just Captain America. I'm more than just Iron Man. And it feels like they're kind of, like, rushing to do anything. And, I mean, like, this is definitely better than Dr. Dolittle. And it kills me to say that because I love Robert Downey Jr.
I heard that movie is shit.
It is really bad.
Dr. Dolittle was like, oh, my God. Like, it was painful. And you could tell that it was one of those post-Iron Man, I'm trying to do something different kind of movies. And I'm like, Robert, like, Bobby, like, listen, you've done some incredible movies. We know you're more than just Iron Man. Maybe the new generation doesn't. But you don't have to sit and run through something just to show that you're more. We know you have range. Captain America did, which the movie was actually, I think, was better than this one. I forgot what the name of the movie was, and it was on Netflix as well.
Well, I said concise, but not.
He did like a kind of like Extraction, where they're trying to like sneak people out. The movie was decent. Extraction, forced, cheesy, like you said. It's trying to be John Wick, but it's not. And I'd love to know how the hell they're gonna do. Like, they're probably doing a prequel at this point.
They're doing a sequel.
Oh, it's a sequel?
What?
Yes. Okay,
then I'm definitely intrigued as to how they're gonna do this. But hey.
By the way, I'm on the Wikipedia article for this movie, and it was criticized for excessive violence. I feel like this movie's just as violent as John Wick. Like, what?
It really is.
I don't understand that.
That's just
I know.
stupid.
Critics are stupid anyway. Who the hell sits and criticizes movies?
You give it then. What's your final rating?
Like a 5.
Yeah, it's about 5, 6. Yeah,
5, 6. It's, I guess like Lewis said, it's a good sit back popcorn movie. Like, turn your brain off, boom, boom, bam, bomb, explosions. How the hell is it going to end? We all know how it's going to end. But, yeah, it's a thing.
All right, Lewis, what is your movie this week?
So I was kind of torn between doing two different movies, and I'm gonna go with something that's gonna spark a conversation, I think.
Because we haven't had one so far.
Yeah, right.
A little bit more, I think, and I think it'll be good. Honestly, what are your thoughts on what do you call it, like comedians and stuff like that, pushing the envelope, these shock comedians? What are your thoughts on it,
like
Branden?
Really, really racy jokes?
Yes.
How
like Gilbert Gottfried and Adam Carolla and these guys.
I don't mind it if it's done tastefully.
I think that
But what do you mean tastefully? Like because there's kind of been a revolution of the stick up their ass population of this country that can't take a joke over the last few years, and this documentary that I'm talking about is Can We Take a Joke? ? It's actually streaming on Amazon Prime, and it's headed by Adam Carolla, which is a shock comedian, and what do you call it, Gilbert Gottfried, and both of these comedians are like the quintessential, like, basically shock.
Lisa Lampanelli is definitely one of the spearheads too.
True. Yes. Very true. And I made William watch this movie because I was like, I think this would be a great conversation to have, but it's also great to have that conversation from a different perspective. And I wanted to know what you think of this, William.
Okay, so let's see if I can try and be concise about this.
Do you agree with the message of the film?
Yes and no.
Okay.
So it's rewinding a little bit, going back into like the mid-90s when these shock comedians were not the norm, and like Adam Carolla was with was it Jimmy Kimmel that he was doing the Man Show with?
He was with Dr. Drew for the longest time.
The Man Show, Show on the Comedy.
No, that was pre-Man Show.
Yeah, no, but I'm talking about like back when him and his co-host of the Man Show, which I think was Jimmy Kimmel. I'm not 100% sure, but anyway, he was doing the Man Show. We had oh my God, who was the shock jock DJ that he's still on? I can't think of. I'm blanking on his name.
Howard Stern.
He was. Yes, Howard Stern. We had people like Lisa Lampanelli. Where
I mean, Howard Stern. Carolla took over for Howard Stern, and it kind of covers it in this documentary a little bit.
But when they were doing their thing, and they were pushing the envelope, yes, there were the people that, obviously even back then, they were like, like girls jumping on trampolines, like it's a sexist, and girls having beer spilled all over them, and Howard Stern trying to definitely push envelopes about certain taboo topics and whatnot. Lisa Lampanelli very much pushing the interracial relationships and interracial jokes. And I enjoyed it back then because I like the fact they were pushing the envelopes, and the way that they were doing it, it felt like it was them. Like they were in their element. This is who they are. This is their persona.
Yeah.
Then, as time went by, they obviously try and keep pushing the envelope, which is fine. And then when people started getting really insulted and butthurt and whatnot, like I get that they're like, oh, I don't care. But now it feels that like it's one thing if you're doing it and it feels like it's seamlessly moving along, and then
Which
it's
is what
different when you can
Gilbert
feel
Gottfried
that
kind of does.
you are
Like
going
that whole
out
thing
of their way.
about Japan and all that stuff. It was a joke. I mean, that was taken so like over the top. It was like, really? Like he's been doing that since the beginning.
But when you make a joke, well, first of all, the timing wasn't that great because it had just happened, and I get.
I mean,
that
he did the
part.
same thing about the World Trade Center when it happened too.
Yeah, and that bombed as well. Because like it's one thing,
funny.
okay, you want to push the envelope, you want to try and be shocking about something. Okay, that's one thing. But when not even 24 hours have gone by and you're making a joke about something where thousands of people have literally died.
But I mean, it wasn't making fun of the people that passed away. It was just joking about
but he's making light of an event where thousands of people have died.
But is it really making... I think that's where this documentary kind of tackles, is that it's not really making light. It is actually bringing it to light, the incidents that are occurring. And I think it's important that we have to... people have lost their perspective that us as humans, we've always made comedy a way of storytelling, a way of actually bringing things that are hard to deal with to light. And that kind of got lost. I mean, in the fucking Middle Ages, that's what a jester was. A jester was basically bringing up the situations of the serfs and the peasant class to the court, but in a comedic way, so they could reform their methods. That was kind of their tap on
guidelines that the jester knew not to cross. Like the jester wouldn't go in front of the king's court and make fun of the king. Because a lot of jesters lost their heads because they went straight for the crown. So if we're talking about people not being able to take a joke, and then you make this comparison, you're shooting yourself in the foot.
No, but it's
like I'm just saying. Well, this was happening all the way back in the medieval times, where comedians were making fun of things, except they were die. Well, now you die on stage, then you really fucking died. Which, it's a big difference. So they have come a long way. It's different
but no, because your life is ruined. Like the one example that they use is Justine Sacco, the PR executive that tweeted that kind of little thing, and it was completely misconstrued. It was like completely taken out of context, and it was made into this huge thing. Like she put, "Going to Africa, hope I don't get AIDS. Just kidding, I'm white." And that was literally what was going on. Everybody was saying, "Oh, you only get AIDS if you're black or gay," and that it was the farthest thing from. And she was like, "Dude, I'm South African."
So you're telling me that there's nothing in your life that you would feel insulted? Not one thing in your life that you would feel insulted if somebody made fun of it?
No. You have to be able to joke about something to get past the hardship of it.
That's horseshit. There has to be one thing.
There is
one thing that,
dude.
There's for me. I'm gonna give you an example. Don't ever make fun of my mother.
Exactly. Like
ever.
If people that have been following the show since like the beginning, when I first came on, I was not aware that your mom had passed away, and I made I think it was like a mom joke and whatnot to you,
Mm-hmm.
and then you told me, well, my mom's dead, and I thought that you were just kind of like trying to be a dick about it, like the jokingly being a dick about it, where it's like I want to make you feel bad because, and then when I realized that, oh no, your mom actually did pass away, I felt like shit because I'm like I put you in an uncomfortable position or situation.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, I didn't know about it, and then noticed that in 100 and something episodes since then, I haven't done it again because you have to learn. You have to learn to read the room. Also, like if you go, like if somebody like Gottfried or Lampanelli or Corolla goes into a room full of Lewises, go to fucking town. Obviously, nobody's going to walk out of there insulted.
But that's the thing.
And I always say, you can't laugh at other people if you can't laugh at yourself. But you even have those boundaries.
All right, so if you go to a comedy club, if you're going to a midnight comedy club, because that's what most of these are. Most of these comedians that are like these shock comedians, they have late shows. They don't have early shows for that exact reason. So there is the express like concession, like, look, these guys are shock comedians. If you're going to be butthurt about shit, don't go watch them. It's that simple. Don't just turn your brain off.
Like, even I have my limits. Like I have been called, ever since I gained weight because of fucking cancer at 24, I've been called fat. I've had people make fat jokes about me to the point where I'm like, I'm immune to it. Like at first I was like, can we not talk about it? Because I'm really fucking conscious. And then I'm just like, I kind of like gave up on it because I'm like, I can't stop people from fucking making fat jokes and making me feel like shit. So whatever, just let it slide off my back. The fact that I'm going bald. Okay, I will cope with the fact that I'm going, I cope with the fact that I'm going bald, and we make bald jokes, and it's like, all right, that's cool. If somebody makes a joke about, Chilean fucking dictator killing tens of thousands of people, I sure as fuck am not gonna laugh because my parents died because of that asshole.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm like, when I was asking you, there's got to be something deep down that you're like, this is not funny, and now I feel hurt, or now I feel insulted, or now I feel like
I'm not gonna. All right, so maybe there is a. All right, how can I word this? There is a point where I won't find it funny, but that I will be insulted by the joke? No, because it is comedy. It's not, unless the guy is literally blatantly racist and all he's doing is fucking racist jokes, then I will be insulted because I'm like, yo, all you're doing is fucking racist jokes. It's not a bit. It's just being racist as fuck.
So let's take racism. Let's take racist jokes just as an example, okay?
Okay, so if you take racist jokes, look at Robin Williams on Broadway. Half the jokes are fucking racist as fuck, yet it's still funny. Why? Because it's Robin Williams, or is it because he does it tastefully?
But also, they're more nationalistic jokes than racist jokes.
No. I just saw Live on Broadway just like less than a week ago. There's a lot of fucking racist jokes in there.
Like what?
He talks about fucking black people all the time and making fun of them. He makes fun of AIDS. He makes fun of the gays. He makes fun. You know what I mean, though. Like, yeah,
but I mean, okay. If all they do is make
he makes fun of Asians
to like a certain ethnicity, then that's not okay. But if they make
that's what I said. That's what I said. Like if that's the case, then I know he's just being a racist prick. Robin Williams is all over the place. He it's like the woman said in the documentary, I hate everybody equally. I will treat everybody as a joke. I don't give a shit what your nationality is. I'm gonna joke about you whether you're white, black, Asian, Filipino, Timbuktu, whatever the fuck. It doesn't matter. I'm gonna make a funny joke if I see it's funny. I'm not going to discriminate against one person, and I'm not going to concentrate on just one group of people. And I think that's the difference between a joke and a comedian and somebody that's just being overly racist and making a show for a show.
I think that it's also, and this is not just me, it's because of the times that we live in and because it's more in the forefront, or some subjects are more in the forefront.
People just need to get a stick out of their ass, honestly.
Like, for example, if somebody made, like, rape jokes, are rape jokes okay? Do you find them funny?
I don't, personally, but that just means that anytime a comedian does something like that, I'm gonna be like, that's not cool. That I'm not okay with that. But I'm not gonna go and be like, oh my god, he's making jokes about. No, it's like, dude, I'm just gonna stop listening to the guy. That's it. The guy's a fucking idiot. Who gives a shit?
But that's also kind of like where it all stems from, like.
If you don't agree with the comedian, if you don't, that's the thing that is grabbing that movement in the world right now, that nobody wants to listen to another side. Nobody wants to allow a compromise between two people. And I think that's the problem. It's like, dude, everybody has different opinions. Just listen to it. But you don't have to fucking say that you're wrong because you have an opinion.
You don't find funny?
Huh?
Like, so you're gonna stop listening to a comedian because they may make a joke or two that you don't find funny?
Yeah. If I find that it's distasteful constantly, I'm gonna be like, whatever. That's not my cup of tea. I'm gonna move on. I'm not gonna go there and like rally against these people unless they're literally overtly doing just racist jokes and he's just a racist prick. And I'm gonna be like, yo, this guy's fucked up.
I don't know. Like, I feel that, like I was saying, like, I feel like the people that like stand up and they go and try and ruin people's careers, and I mean, there are certain people that I feel like they definitely crossed the line, like Michael Richards screaming the N-word at black people at a New York comedy club was definitely beyond like inexcusable. Like, that was just like one of the dumbest.
If you call somebody fat, if you call somebody big boobed or busty, that's okay. But if you call somebody that word, it's not okay.
Absolutely not, especially if you're white.
I'm sorry, no. That's
absolutely not. Because
it's a comedy club. If they're not willing to listen to things, especially Michael Richards, that has always been risque, even in Seinfeld, it's like, no, I'm sorry. That's just stupid. There's
just certain words that you just don't say and you don't use if you are.
I personally won't say it, but that's just me because that's not who I am. But if somebody else says it and it's not being racist, because we know that Michael Richards is not a racist, it's like, no. I'm sorry, no. That's just people with a stick up their ass that want to make everybody conform to who they are. It's totalitarianism at its best. It's like, no, I'm sorry.
We will have to just agree to disagree.
What's your fucking rating, bro?
So let me go into what the documentary is real quick. It'll be real quick. It's basically talking about these shock comedians that and what they have to face every day. Like, they are actually facing these people that are discriminating against them because they are these comedians. And they're literally tearing their careers apart, getting thrown off shows, getting thrown off all these things, and being labeled by society as lepers, basically. And it shows you with like a huge abundance of all the different cases that have actually occurred and are completely false. And the head of this is Adam Carolla, because he said, fuck this, I'm tired of working in the system, and he created his own podcast network, which ironically enough, Bald Brian from the Film Vault is part of his show. So it's that co-host of the Film Vault, Anderson's co-host, is actually part of the Adam Carolla show. And it's just fascinating seeing this other side. And it's like, yo, I completely see their point, and I completely agree to a certain extent. I don't think that these comedians should be ostracized the way that they have been. People need to get the stick out of their ass. If you don't like what they're saying, don't listen to them. Turn it off. Move on. The best way to stop somebody is not by putting more attention to it. It's by stop listening. Stop giving your money and time to them. And they will stop. They will go away because nobody's going to listen to them. So I think that's the most important thing that the takeaway from this. Just, if you have an opinion and you don't like what that other person's opinion, as long as they're not overtly racist, then just turn it off. Move on. Don't give more attention to the fucking asshole. So this, for me, is a 8 out of 10. I think it's an enjoyable documentary. It gets its point across, and it sparks the conversation that obviously you just heard. So yeah, that's my pick. William, what'd you bring us?
So I binge watched season 2 of Dead to Me.
Oh, that show.
Yeah, it dropped like a couple of days ago, and Samara was like, I want to take a break from work and school, and season 2 dropped, and we'd watched like season 1 about 2 or 3 weeks ago, and I'm like, yeah, sure, let's watch it. We'll watch it like an episode or two. So we ended up watching 7 episodes, and then it was like almost midnight. We're like, all right, let's call it. And then the next day we watched like the last 3. So in less than like a day, we ended up watching it. And it's great because like at the end of season 1, we're like, where are they going with this? Like, what's going to happen? Like, how did they doing like a season 2 to this? And they do like a really good job with it. Like they keep throwing curveball after curveball after curveball that you're like, oh my God. Some of it is predictable. Like you see it. Like you know where it's gonna go. And some of it you're like, oh, okay. Like that's gonna be a thing. It's entertaining. It's some of it. It's whatchamacallit. It's a couple of episodes. I think it was episode 3 and 4.
What is the show about? Because I've never even heard of it.
So the season 1 is again. I'm trying to bring it up because I do not remember.
Like, what's the general storyline?
Christina Applegate's husband was killed he was jogging on the side of the road and got killed. He got run over by a car, and the person didn't stop. And she befriends this person who, like, I don't want to give it away because, like, that's the thing. Like, it's hard to describe because there's so much plot, so much twist that it just kind of like, whatchamacallit. I don't want to spoil it. But even in season 1, you find out early on who the person responsible for running over the husband was, and you know obviously she finds out towards the end, and there's a whole thing that happens, and then as this web is going on, there's a side arc which you're thinking, oh, it's just going to be like a little side story, no big deal. Well, that then becomes the whole premise of season 2, which then opens up more spider webs, and it's like, oh, and it's definitely interesting. It's dark comedy. It's I forget what the name that season 2 cast. There we go. Christina Applegate and Linda Cardinelli are the 2 main characters, but then you also have I forget what name. Who was the guy that was in Sonic?
James Marsden.
Yes, he's in it as well. Both
Cyclops.
season 1 and season 2.
Yeah, Cyclops. Yes.
Yes, Cyclops. That's where I've seen him.
Yeah.
So.
Fuck X-Men. He's more known for Sonic.
It was just like the first thing that I popped up in my head that I'm like, wait, wherever. He was also in Happily Ever After, right?
Yes.
Yes.
No, Happily After. Enchanted. Where like the princess comes to life from.
And also 27 Dresses if you want to go into his filmography.
Yes.
Yeah, there we go.
His better filmography.
I think Brandon, you and Carla will enjoy it a lot more than Lewis, but I also think that Naomi may actually enjoy it as well.
So I haven't seen the show, but Carla has seen season 1. I know that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ask her her opinion and see, and let her know that season 2 dropped because
okay.
Only if you want to watch it.
But I definitely recommend it, especially if you've seen season 1 and you're on the fence about how season 2 is going to play out. It's going to play out. It plays out really well, and obviously it leaves with 2 major cliffhangers at the end of season 2. Obviously, season 3 is going to be coming. And I love that Christine, the woman that played Peg Bundy, which was Kelly Bundy's, Christine Applegate's mom in Married with Children, actually makes a cameo in season 2.
Nice.
Which, yeah, absolutely. Also, I'm sorry, she was the mother in Sons of Anarchy.
Yes.
Younger generation.
Yeah.
So definitely watch it. Highly recommend it. I give it like a good 8.5, 9 out of 10. Like I said, episode 3 and 4 kind of drag a little. Like they're definitely filler episodes, but it all glues well together. It ends really well. It's got me wanting. There's a show that Samara was like. I was talking to these two people, and they said that we should, I should watch it. Do you want to watch it while I watch it? And I was like, at first I was like, sure, I've heard things about it. I'm not that invested in it. Holy fuck, am I invested in it now? So I'm hoping season 3 will drop early next year, or maybe later this year. But definitely go watch it if you haven't, and let me know what you guys think.
Sweet.
Awesome. So what are your 2 picks for the viewers?
So
the listeners. Sorry. I don't know. I said viewers.
Originally, I'm gonna love it when he starts with that. Originally, hold on, because I wrote them down, but there it is. So originally, I had, because I wanted to piss the shit out of Lewis, I was gonna do a choice between Infinity War and Endgame, and make people listen. But since Lewis was nice enough to not review the documentary he spoke of, and he let me have one, I will deter from a rock and a hard place and give him a chance to not suffer. I'm going to keep Endgame.
Can we not watch movies or put movies that are like top blockbuster movies?
No.
Come on, man. Like, this is shit everybody's already seen. Why do we have to talk about this?
I saw the preview for...
There's still movies.
Called John Henry.
Barely.
And it stars... It just dropped on Netflix.
What is it called?
John Henry.
Okay.
And it's got... oh my god. I can never pronounce his name right. Terry Crews. As the lead role. Ludacris is in it as well.
Ludacris.
Luda.
Looks like Walking Tall.
What is up with his? Oh, it's literally. Oh, okay, I was like, what is up with this man's face?
It looks like the previews look okay. The premise sounds okay. I'm hoping that I like Terry Crews as an actor. I watch him on Brooklyn Nine-Nine, but I've also obviously seen him in a lot of other things. I like him both serious. I like him both as a comedian.
Mm-hmm.
So we will let fate decide. So it'll be the battle of Endgame versus John Henry. Endgame, obviously, I believe is on Disney Plus.
Yes, it is. I love this shit so much. It makes me so happy inside.
It's like I bring good movies that are out of the ordinary, and we bring shit that's on the top grossing films of all time. Come on, man.
There's still movies.
I mean, I can just go right back.
Everybody's always seen it. It's like come on, let's do movies that nobody's seen before.
That's too hard.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is. You make things so whatever. We'll talk about this off the show.
John Henry, that's good. That I'm good with that. That's something out of the ordinary.
All right. Do we wanna have a first and make it a 3-way choice? Because I have a third choice.
Why don't we just do two movies that are not Endgame?
Why do you sound so low, bro? Eat your mic. Put it in your mouth.
That's what she said.
Holy shit, legit. You sound like you're 20 feet away from your mic. It's so weird.
All right. So, William.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
No. What's your other pick?
The other pick?
Yeah. What other than John Henry or fucking pit John Henry against something else, whatever. The other pick you had.
Hangman, also on Netflix.
Hangman. Okay. Hangman, 2017 movie.
That's
Starring
the one with Al Pacino?
Yeah. I guess.
Right.
Is it the Al Pacino one?
Yes.
Because there's two.
Yeah, it's the Al Pacino one.
The Al Pacino one.
All right, cool. So Hangman or John Henry. If you enjoyed our show, I'm so done. I'm so fucking done with today's episode. Visit us at manbitesfilm.com, our sister site, diverselygeek.org, and of course, our brother from another mother, John, over at YouTube at Narcotic Casserole. Thank you, Lewis.
Thank you, Brandon.
Thank you, William.
Thank you, sir.
As always, I'm Brandon, and we'll see you guys on the next episode of Man Bites Film. Cue the drums.
Da-da-da.